I like stupid songs. Whoa, stupid songs. Whoa, stupid songs. Whoa, stupid songs. Want to go to. All right. So while we're waiting, let's go over here. All right, we got to go to. I like stupid. I wonder if I play a song from the old days. Would that demonetize the video? An old punk song from an old Canadian punk band? I do not know. So I might not, because if it did, I'll just sing it for you. I like stupid songs. Whoa, stupid songs. Whoa. What's going on, gents? Harry, Que Paso, John. Hey, hey, hey. All right, let's get my Zoom thing back. All right, all right. All right, good. Sweet. Still got my same shirt on, pulverizer. Bill, hey, what's up, Bill? Where are you coming in from? Still got my sticker. James, let's put that right here. I love the two-way, NRAILA. We'll see, pulverizer. I put a thing on my. Yeah, that's right, Vic. Vic says you keep your guns, they're gonna just tax the snot out of the ammunition. 100%, man. You're going great guns. Just be careful, YouTube. Well, right on. No, that's right on, man. That's it's only a matter of time, man. I don't know how long it's going to be, but they banned a Trump lawyer testifying in front of the Senate. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking this is surreal. YouTube banned a Trump lawyer or took his testimony down. I mean, this is Orwell. We throw around the term Orwellian a lot, but this is literally Orwellian. Sitting there thinking this literally happened. It's the news. I mean, you might not like it, YouTube, but this literally happened. It was the news, and you're banning. It's actually kind of creepy. I mean, look, I get it. You don't like who's an X-22 guy. I don't know. Some of these people, I get it, but yeah, Vino, election stuff goes behind us. It comes. I mean, that's the thing. Every 4 years is a big election. 2 years in midterms. Midterms are interesting, but the 4 years, you got James. I mean, look, I'm a political beast. Have always been a political junkie. I was telling Chloe today that I remember my mom used to take me to anti-nuclear rallies in Wiscasset, Maine. Wiscasset, Maine was where we had the nuclear power plant, and I remember just, I was probably like 2 years old. They got a picture of me, like sitting on her back with one of those things as a babe, you know what I'm saying? And it's 1971. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And they've always been a political family, always. It's just the way I was raised, and I will never not be. And so, as such, every couple of years, it's time. It's freaking time's up or time's on. And every 2 years, the midterms. It's interesting to me. I'll always be interested in it. I don't know. I'm no longer interested in football. I no longer interested in all that much in hockey. What else am I doing? I don't watch that much TV, hardly at all. No longer interested in a lot. Well, it seems like I'm missing something else I'm not really that interested in. But politics is something that's interesting. But we'll see, man. We'll see. All right. So they chain you to the fence of the plant. Yeah, right on, man. But we also, I mean, I just remember we used to go so many political rallies when I was a kid. It's like, oh, another one. So we went to the caucuses. Maine, I don't know if they still do. They used to have caucuses, and this is either 76 or 80. Might have been 76 when Muskie. I think Muskie was running Was Muskie running? He was a senator from Maine, and he was running in the primary. And I don't think they liked him because he wasn't liberal enough. I think was that when we liked Gus Hall and Angela Davis, but I can't remember. I don't think they liked Muskie. But we did have a Muskie for Senate. My mom had this piano that basically the piano is worth more than the house, and I just remember it was a Muskie for Senate bumper sticker on the piano that my mom had. What's up, Scott? And I just I not I, I don't remember, but I just remember they weren't keen on him, and these I mean they weren't keen on Carter. But then was that 76 would have been freaking was Carter. Yeah, it was Carter, right? Yeah, and then I can't remember. I just man, I used to go to all these things just like, oh, and then my dad had a printing press down the basement. Oh, it's yeah, like man, just it is what it is. You know, there's some things you enjoy, and you know, you have a thing that you know, I've always you know, like I just you know, I got my C.S. Lewis book. I just like to read. I've always just been interested in some things. Other things I'm not, but other things I am. All right. All right. So first and foremost, I'm leaning to the left, though I support the right. Is that Cream? That's I'm leaning to the left. I got you. I remember. Hold on a second, man. I feel free. Anyone for tennis? Cream politician. Is that how that good, man? I haven't heard that song in a long time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Cream was so good. Uh, anyone for tennis? Was anyone for tennis? That's what it was. Anyone for tennis? And I never knew a spoonful. Remember, spoon, that spoonful. I always never knew what that was. Well, I remember that song because I wasn't, I wasn't born in 1968, but I used to have all kinds of hell, dude. Yardbirds. My dad was a huge Yardbirds fan. Uh, John God Almighty. I had a CDs, just with tons of. My dad took me to go see, uh, not Howlin' Wolf, another guy in DC in 1985. Albert King, was it Albert King? And we just look, man. They've always just my dad took me to go. Is Albert King, Albert something? I can't remember. But anyway, um, just we used to play. I mean, my parents were. I mean, we're hippies, dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was gonna say. Was it Willie Dixon took me too? Was Albert King? I can't remember. But we went to go see this. It wasn't BB King. It wasn't Albert. Albert. Who you guys know what I'm talking about? John Mayall. Yep. Yes, John Mayall. That's what it was. John Mayall. Oh my goodness. Anyway, just that's what it was. Pulverizer. John Mayall. It wasn't Albert King. It was. It wasn't BB King. It was Al. But I don't think it was Willie. Maybe it was Willie Dixon. Man, we got to go see him in DC at some blues place in DC when I was like 15. And you know, I was growing up, we had Peter Tosh, we had all kinds of stuff on. I mean, just they had all kinds of stuff, all kinds of LPs that are probably worth a freaking pretty mint right now. You know, 12-inch records and just that old blue stuff. I always liked it. Now, you know, Frank, the old blue stuff. You know, the old days was kind of nah, they didn't take. They weren't in New York for Woodstock, John. They were still in California then. 68. Yeah, they didn't go to Woodstock. They were still in San Francisco. It's Woodstock 68, if memory serves. And they had met in San Francisco in 67. My dad was working as a carpenter on the docks of San Francisco. My mom was at San Francisco State, I think. I don't remember the whole story. And frankly, how much of this is I don't recall. But that spoon that I didn't spoonful was a freaking Willie Dixon song. Man, I just heard it. There's another song I just heard too that was a takeoff. I was just singing it today, man. I was like, damn, I didn't know that was another freaking takeoff on somebody. That oh man, that some of that stuff, man. You just listen to. I could listen to that for all day long. I mean, it's just nuts. That old black blues and old black Motown and stuff. Oh my god, it's insane. I've drawn a blank. There's a guy out of Chicago just recently I just came across. He's been around for a long, long time. And I just came across a guy, his bass player was going nuts. I was like, damn. And I forgot this guy off the top of my head. Wheeler, I think. It wasn't Ted Wheeler. Mike Wheeler out of Chicago. And, you know, he's not, but I mean, just I was sitting there thinking, to hear these black musicians and not to see many black musicians anymore other than rap is such a waste of talent. I mean, these guys, my goodness. I mean, look, white musicians too, don't get me wrong, but just oh my goodness, just the way these guys could just play their instruments is insane. Anyway, the old blues are like the Robert Johnson era. That was that's kind of boring in my opinion. That's why I like the Led Zeppelin stealing all that stuff, and it's stolen. Now, don't get me wrong, it's stolen. The British stole this stuff from the black blues singers for sure, and I don't think they got the right credit they should have. That's for sure. They certainly get the monetary rewards. But all that old blues is kind of like the old country, just bores me. And you combine some of that banjo-ish blues with some of that old country. I don't like that at all. I mean, it's good. It's not nearly what I like. The more progressive stuff. Hey Kim, Willie, yeah man, that's crazy, man. Willie Dixon and yeah, that's nuts, man. I like a lot of different things, Joe. That's the thing is I'm a fan of I like all kind. I love bluegrass. Give me some bluegrass. Hell, I'm a big fan. I just all kinds of stuff I like. I just it just depends on the mood. I even like rap. Some rap. My man Tom McDonald just did this. I just came across him. I don't know why. He's a white rapper, and he just replaced Eminem and the #1 song on whatever the lyrics things was. I don't even know what it is. White rapper, kind of funny. It's interesting. I can't stand the Eminem guy. That bores me. But what I like about Tom McDonald's stuff is that he talks about the demons that haunts us all, if that makes sense. And I mean, look, you don't have to be an addict, but man, we've all got demons. And I just like the fact that a guy has enough sense of perspective to recognize his own demons and knows it's a fight, you know what I'm saying? And because we all got it. Hell, I get it all the time. I don't ever like I need a drink. But you can feel there's some. That's why I got to turn to this book because if I don't turn to this book every now and again, it gets me off this the trail I need to be on. All right. Pulverizer says the old blues is not as good as Pink Floyd. Oh my goodness. Do you know, like when Aretha Franklin died? I think it was. There's like this block in Detroit, like a block that was all these artists. Like I think even like MC5 came through there or something like that. I mean, mostly blacks, but it's just like this block of like the most insane musicians ever known to man. I just sit there in awe, and I'm sitting there in awe at man, it's crazy. Like that these guys couldn't perform in places in the South. It's just crazy to me. I'm sitting there thinking, how to be racist is so flippin' stupid. It's so stupid. No, I don't like the Clash. They bore me. And frankly, the Sandinista crap. Once you start supporting commies, I'm done. But I'm just sitting there thinking, all these guys, like to deny yourself the privilege of seeing some of these entertain just it's crazy to me because of skin color. It's nuts. Oh my goodness. I mean, who's worse off when you say I can't have Josh Gibson perform for my baseball team? You were Josh Gibson. Well, Josh Gibson in the short term for sure, but my goodness, how could you be racist? Why don't you want to see and hear the best that there is? George Jones, yeah, he never did much for me, but I was listening to some old Ricky Skaggs, and actually before him, the guy from Hee Haw. I look, this is before my time. I didn't realize how good of a guitarist that guy was, Roy Clark. Oh my goodness! And look, I don't know how to play. I mean, I can strum and play a couple chords, but yeah, right on. So back says proud of my trip today. Took Chloe, right? And so I've taken now Maddie when she was a babe. We took her to the Sora Lieberman. We protested against Sora Lieberman, which was against Sora Loserman. That's what it was. Sora Loserman, Gore Lieberman trying to steal the election from Bush. Can we say that, YouTube? That was 20 years ago. Can we say that, or are we going to get banned here? And now we went to protest the legitimate election that we had here in Georgia, completely legit on the up and up. Yeah, Roy Clark, dude, that guy. I did not know. I mean, literally, I just came across him from some British good, metalish looking hippie who's talking about. I said, damn, that guy's freaking fantastic. Chet Atkins, yeah. Buck Owens from Bakersfield, California. Remember the Kim? They got Dwight Yoakam did a song with old Buck, Streets of Bakersfield. I'm not sure. I don't think that's Dwight Yoakam's original, but oh man, that album was a good album too. From anyway, yeah, there's a well, Jill, we're gonna have to part ways at Pop. Pop might be the worst ever. All right. So you see this Wall Street Journal thing behind me. Shock hits the world. This is from 2008. I did a video earlier today, which I hope you can see. I haven't checked the stats on it yet, but that spoonful. We used to listen to my wife is out there, so I gotta be quiet. This guy and I, when I lived in Cape Elizabeth, Maine for 3 months, this guy, we're kind of losers. We'd sneak out, smoke dope, and listen to David Bowie. Remember old David Bowie was pretty good, man. And then the 80s stuff, you just wanted to kill yourself. And it's like, the old David Bowie was fantastic. And we just listened to Cream, David Bowie. Of course, he liked Pink Floyd. I said, turn that crap off. He liked the Beatles. I said, turn that crap off. I always liked the Who. The Who is always, I like the Kinks, like the Who. The Beatles just want to freaking jump off a bridge. The Rolling Stones, boo ring. I didn't know Dwight Yoakam was from Bakersfield. Oh man, did not know that. I thought he's okay. That makes sense. Anyway, so let's see on this video I did on whoa, man, that video is tearing up. The one I just did around retirement. You really, really need to revisit the Wellington Fund. Holy crap, that's already got 2,000 views. Whoa, that might be that's nuts. Okay, no, about 1,000 views. That thing is turned up. All right, so I don't know what the appeal of that video was, but around retirement, you really, really need to consider Wellesley Fund. Do you know that Viva Frei? Yeah, a little off topic. Yeah, Viva Frei. In fact, I think he's on right now. I think we're competing against him, which sucks because he got my man Robert Barnes on there. Alison Krauss, she's okay. What's the name of the Alison Krauss and the I forgot the name of the band. Some of it's pretty good. Some of it's not that great. Hey, early Christmas. Wife bought me your Social Security book. Tell your wife, even though she's married to you, Dustin, she's still a good lady. Yeah, I saw a video by that guy, Holy Schmidt. I don't know. It kind of bored me, frankly. I get it. People, and it was a very popular video. I think he had like 400,000 views. Like, damn. That stuff bores me. I don't know why. A lot of financial related videos bore me. That's why I like my man Jason Proctor from Fighting Words Financial, because he just I don't know. I at the end of the day, I think look, personality has to come through. Obviously, people don't like my personality. They don't like the fact I don't hide my politics. I get all that, but that video for that guy just kind of bored. I got no qualm with him. Probably a great guy. I liked his info. I just drop some jokes every now and again, man. That's how I do like my man Dustin, down there at Jazz Wealth, Jason Proctor, freaking Devin Carroll. You know what I'm saying? Devin's not as personality driven, but the facts he just delivers a freaking punch. That, I mean, his stuff is fantastic. Devin's is. So a lot of those guys, just financial guys, bore me. The money guys I like. Okay, they crack me up. Big Al and what's his name? Big Al and I forgot the other guy's name. The money. Well, who's the money guys? No, the money guys are up from Nashville. I think they do just move from Georgia. They're okay. Big Al and the other guy, Joe. Forgot what that guy's is. Union Station. Is that it? Union Station? Okay. Yeah, the Money Guy show. Wait, which one's the Money Guy show? Those two guys up in Nashville. They're okay. But who's the Big Al? Is that Big Al's the Joe Anderson. Yeah, I like those guys. I like Big Al Joe. I'm a big fan of Big Al and Joe. Brian Preston and Bo. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is that the Money Guy show? So what's Big Al's show called? It's like the I got him on podcast. Um, oh, thanks, James. Let me see what. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it. I won't be able to find it. All right. So don't forget Chris Barfield from Barfield Financial was on this right. Oh, y'all can't see that, can you? Oops. That spoon, that spoon, that spoon. Oh, man, what happened? That spoonful, that spoon. Oh man, I don't know what happened. Hey, Chris Barfield was on Sound Retirement Planning right there. Let me get rid of this background. There we go. All right. Notice no dogs. By the way, the dogs are in training, which we dropped them. I didn't drop them off. Charlotte and Liam dropped off at training. 2 weeks in basic training for those dogs. So there's sound retirement planning with Chris Barfield. This guy's name's Jason Parker. He's okay. A lot of these financial guys I just wish they had more personality. And I like him. He's a Christian guy, which I like, and I like the fact he starts with a reading of some sort. He's okay. I don't know. I just they all kind of sound the same to me. They all look like Tyson. But he's okay. And Chris anyway, but Chris Barfield is. Some of these guys are better for blog posts, if that makes sense. I hope Chris does more audio stuff because I can tell he can get into his own once he gets more comfortable. Because Chris Barfield's got some of the stuff. Like for instance, I did not know this. I bet you did not know this. If whoa, Alex I'm on Curiosity. Cool, man. Yes, right on, Hans. Cream and Clapton made, and Yardbirds too. Don't forget, Eric Clapton's in the Yardbirds with Jeff Beck. But Cream, yeah, made freaking. I mean, hell, they. Your money, your wealth. That's what it is. Big Al, Big Al. Yeah. The rally was good. We stayed for 2 hours. And then my back was starting to hurt, Mushkey, so we left. But so we saw Burgess Owens. I want to see Herschel Walker. I just got tired, to be honest with you. We saw Burgess Owens, which I want to see more than anything because I've always been a big fan. I mean, look, man, I grew up with watching football. Burgess Owens played for the Oakland Raiders. I love the Oakland Raiders more than anything in the world. I cannot tell you how much I love the Raiders. It was nuts. If the Raiders paid the Pats back then, I'm not even sure who I would have gone for. But the Raiders were my team, and the Pats were kind of okay with Steve Grogan, but they never were the Raiders. It's just I love the Raiders, and the fact that Burgess Owens, I'm not gonna say he's my hero, but he's on that team that won the Super Bowl when I was a little kid. It was awesome, and just to see that guy that he's a Republican. He's not afraid to talk about what's going on in the black community, which look, oh, but you're white. They always say we're taking care of our own. No, you're not, man. That's why we need to change. That's why blacks, I would pray to the good Lord that they just say, let's try something else. Because what we're doing now, we still have innocent babies being shot and killed every single day. It's nuts. It's bad. And we can say the same about the white freaking community too, by the way. We still got innocent people dying of freaking drug overdoses all the time. And the reason is because there's the families are being broken up. There's no other way around that. It's not racist to say I don't care. You literally call me, I don't care. I just don't. The facts are we have a family in decline. It started in defining deviancy now. That's what Daniel Patrick Moynihan said. We saw it back in the 60s starting to rise, and we're seeing it now. The white community right now is where the black community was 40 years ago. That is a fact. And now we have 75% of black children being raised in single family households. That's not good for a healthy society. And we have 35% of white families being raised or children being raised in single family households. That's not good. It's just not. The government loves it because there's more dependency on the government. That's not good, man. And I love that Burgess Owens stood up, and where it's easy to blame white liberals because they should. I mean, the white liberals are absolutely the worst for sure. But black liberals need to be blamed too. Let's not get black liberals, and Burgess Owens said that black liberals and black socialists ruined the black community. And it's just 100%, man, 100%. And these guys need to be called out for it. Now it's gonna be harder for a white guy to call out black intellectuals because whites will always be accused of racism. That's fine. But you need to support the people who are supporting what the hell is going on here, and it's a evil stuff here, man. And it breaks my freaking heart. All this, and no one cares. Black Lives Matter, they don't care. White rich liberals, they don't care. The only time these people care is when they can donate to the SPLC. If they can say, remember James Byrd, who dragged through Texas by two white guys. I don't know the whole story. They all try to pin it on Bush that he didn't want the death penalty. The whole thing was nuts. But as long as there's a couple white rednecks or a white cop, then we get all up in arms about it. The minute though the perps are not what they want it to be, that doesn't fit the narrative, which is the vast majority of time, by the way, no one cares. And so as such, yeah, A plus B equals C. All right. So if Black Lives Matter when A black guy's the victim, B, when a white guy's a perp, then C, Black Lives Matter. But if Black Lives Matter when A black guy's a victim, black person's a victim, B, a black person's a perp, C, nothing. There's no A plus B equals C there. We all know this. And Frank, I will say the same thing. With whites that sit there and say, "Oh yeah, well," because I agree. The last thing blacks need is a bunch of white guys that tell them how to live their life. Not because we got to clean up our own, man. And we got 35% of white families being raised by single moms, mostly moms too, and that's just as bad, just as bad. But whites generally aren't in the urban cities with freaking. Now whites are the consumption of the freaking dope that's going around the urban areas, which is leading to the drug trade. And that's why I always say, as long as Hunter Bidens of the world get a freaking free pass, that I don't understand, man. I don't understand why the left, who supposedly cares two craps about the black family, just sits there and say, well, we're not going to bring Hunter Biden's digress or freaking whatever it is addiction. We're going to sweep under the rug because we want political power. As long as that guy is not held accountable, and it's rich Republicans too, I'm telling you. Until you go after the freaking demand, the drug trade is going to continue, and it's going to continue to ruin innocent lives. So unless you go after the demand, which is essentially rich suburbanites, Hunter Bidens of the world, then it's why we've been messing with this stuff. It's freaking nuts, man. It freaking infuriates me because they'll never go after the rich white guys. Why? Because they're the Hunter Bidens of the world. And trust me, Biden's family isn't just Hunter Biden. Just trust me. Just do a little bit of research on Biden's family, dude. They're corrupt as all can be. Look, George, I don't know. I mean, I could care less. I'm just saying Biden because he's the guy of the day, the culprit of the day. But I guarantee you can find George Bush's kids. I have no idea, but I'm using that for an example, who are freaking, doing all kinds of stuff too. Guarantee. Until you go after the man, doesn't matter. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about freaking white privilege and all this crap when the ultimate thing is the family's being broken up. In fact, I don't think I have it up here. Oh, let's see. Well, shoot. Anyway, all right. Enough of that. Going off a rant. Oh, yes. Right on, Dustin. All right. So, well, so actually, it's funny, Harry. How about the 900 billion stimulus pact that this plan that the swamp concocted? The funny thing was Ayanna Pressley, one of the squad, who's a sane liberal from Massachusetts. I mean, she's nuts. But she made a point, which is rightly so. She doesn't ever want to hear the Republicans gripe about deficits again. I 100% agree. I could not agree more. We are truly living in modern monetary theory right now. So all the people, and goes back to my book here, which I've yet to read. It's just 80 pages, not 50 pages. Problems with Modern Monetary Theory by Robert Wenzel. Yeah, we got a freaking deficits as far as the eye can see on top of debt, which is never going to be paid off. It's just never. And remember, deficits are just the additions to the debt that we already have. All right, so going back to what Chris Barfield said, I did not know this. If you roll over your TSP 100%, man. So Dustin, check this. And your your surviving spouse is on federal employee health benefits without her own benefit, only on your record. So Dustin is in the Marine Corps, and he's going to just say he retires from the Marine Corps with he won't. I guess TRICARE for life is different. But anyway, Chris was talking about federal employee health benefits as a government employee. All right. So if you roll over your entire TSP, your entirety of your TSP, and you have it, you close it out, and you die, your surviving spouse no longer has access to federal employee health benefits. Is that not nuts? So Chris was saying, just leave like a couple $1,000 in there, because as long as there's money left in the TSP, your surviving spouse has access to FEHB. I just crazy. Apparently, Chris is acts. I guess I wish he was on here, but it'd be nice. He acts as a not a litigator, a expert witness, and he's working with a couple right now who they rolled over their TSP into some crappy managed portfolio. And I think they want to put it back in the TSP. They can't because they got spanked on fees. I don't know what's going on, but he said he's part of an expert and they're going to lose. But he said they're going after the broker. He didn't say what firm, I can recall, but they're going after the broker. They said you screwed us basically. Anyway, long story short, Chris is being in one of the expert testimony, and there's no way these guys are going to win. But then that's what led him to believe, to say not only did they lose access to the TSP, but they lost access, if potentially, to this the surviving spouse for the federal employee health benefits. Tell me that, man. That's nuts, man. Did I hear income? So is it a so hey, Dustin, if you are, I don't know about TRICARE. I just don't know. Oh, is that what it is? Get another $600? You guys, man. I tell you, this is where I sit there and I say, should I even mess with the Republican Party? Well, yes, because it's all administrative state, and but look, man, the idea, and that's on the live stream I did today. The guy David McIntosh, was on Club for Growth, and I'm almost positive Pat Toomey used to be the Club for Growth. Let me just double check. I'm almost positive Pat Toomey was Club for Growth, and it turns out Pat Toomey, Club. Yeah, Pat Toomey Club for Growth. Yep. And so Club for Growth, economic conservative organization. Well, Pat Toomey turned out to be just another freaking dud. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's actually in favor of some gun control with Joe Manchin. And it's just, it's the same thing. It's the same thing over and over and over again with these guys. They want freaking open borders so their donors, the big corporations at the Chamber of Commerce can get cheap labor, man. It's the same freaking thing. Jeff Flake was with the Goldwater Institute, and it's the same thing over and over again. So I don't know who David McIntosh is. He was speaking at the rally today, and which is fine. He talks a good game, but it's just like they talk about the deficits, they don't give two craps. And so ultimately, you got to say, my friends, if they don't care, and no one seems to care because the rates are still incredibly low. Well, at some point, if you can't beat them, you join them. You say, well, let's start reallocating money to things that we wanted to use it for. And I mean, vouchers, better medical vouchers. You see what I'm saying? Things like this. Okay, well, we'll give you an infrastructure. We'll even give you some green crap there, Steely Joe. But for that, we want to make sure we get vouchers for medical. You see, we want to make sure this. We want to make sure. Because we're not. They're never going to solve the freaking budget. It's never going to happen. The only time it's ever going to happen is when it's not going to happen. We've had debt is literally going back to the 1920s, and they were griping about it then. It's the same thing, man. Whoever's in out of pocket, out of power says we're leaving our children a debt they'll never be able to pay. Obama was saying that. Yeah. All right. The rally, I'd say about 500 people, I think, was at the rally. It was weird too. They did not advertise it well. So I had a number of people on my own YouTube channel who lived right up around that way who did not know about it. So it was not advertised. I did not see Terrible Ted, which I would have liked to. And we got there early. I just got tired, man. And I'm not going to do to my daughter what my mom did to me, is let me stay out there for hours. Yeah, James, if you're a MAGA guy, you're not voting. Yeah, interest rates are staying low for a long time. All right, so what I want to talk about today is I had an article I wanted to share with you, which was, hold on just a second. Oh, by the way, wait, let me share this with you. Hold on just a second. I'm going to share this right here. Yeah. So I came across this 2081, and this is Teaching 2081, and they have this film video right here. It's free. You can watch it for free. Everyone will finally be equal. A short adaptation of Kurt Vonnegut's Harrison Bergeron, The Moving Picture Institute's 2081 depicts a dystopian future in which, thanks to the 212th Amendment to the Constitution, everyone is finally equal. The strong wear waist, the beautiful wear masks, and such and such. Anyway, this looks pretty good. So you can sign up for that for free. And they got other movies too. And this is good because that's exactly where we're going here. I haven't watched it yet. We're going to watch that here later on. Maybe probably not tonight, but I'll put a link in the show notes if you guys are so inclined. Oops, hold on just a second. There we go. Right there. Blank. All right, cool. So now what we want to do is I want to go back to, this is where I want to be. Oops. Yeah, right here. All right. So I want to, right here, Larry Fink's doubles down on woke capitalism, and Larry Fink is the guy from BlackRock. So BlackRock can kiss my butt, that's for sure. I'll do a video on that tomorrow. It seemed like I had another. Oh, okay. I did want to read this. Some guy had sent this to me, and I am not. Get rid of this. And I haven't read it yet, so I was thinking we could look at this together. Why Arthur Brooks? Now, Arthur Brooks, that's the guy from the AEI. So I haven't read this. I thought it'd be interesting to read. But let's see if that's Arthur Brooks. Okay, maybe not. So there's another Arthur Brooks from the AEI. Trump is losing his mind. So okay, so the Atlantic is left wing tripe, but I didn't know if they might have a decent guy once in a while to represent at least the libertarian right. AEI is American Enterprise Institute, which is part of what Andrew Biggs is part of. All right, so there's a script to life that many of us have internalized. Hold on just a second. I just want to make sure you all can see what I'm looking at here. That spoon, that spoon, that spoonful, that spoon, that spoon, that spoonful. All right, let's make sure here. All right, cool. Good. All right. Yeah, $600 stimulus check. Give me a freaking break, man. These guys are nuts. Let's see. There's a script to life that most of us have internalized, whether consciously or not. It's that many of our beloved financial or fictional stories looks at the life of successful people tend to follow it as well. It's often called a hero's journey. The 19th century anthropologist Edward Burnett Tyler was the first to identify the hero's journey. As he showed, many great adventure stories throughout history follow the basic formula. King David, are you familiar with King David? It's pretty interesting. Basically, you have the call is to adventure, where the hero to be is stimulated to act in some bold way, usually to meet a daunting task. Second is the ordeal, which the hero is brutally tested and has to beat long odds, such as vanquishing a giant, the Goliath. The third is victory, where the hero emerges and says, I am the champion. Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, believed that successful people tend to see their own lives through the lens of this myth. He is no hero who has never met the dragon, he said. Equally, only one who has risked a fight with a dragon and is not overcome by it wins the horde. He alone has a genuine claim to self-confidence, for he has faced the dark ground of himself and thereby has gained himself. He sounds like an egg-headed version of Tony Robbins. You want to be a winner in your career? Then live your own hero's journey. All right? It's a nice narrative, especially if you worked hard and done pretty well. The problem is real life ending after the triumphant return. People have no script for that part. There's no Star Wars sequel to where Luke Skywalker hangs around the house all day yelling because someone touched the thermostat. or telling his grandkids about blowing up this Death Star for the 1000th time. Of course, some people enjoy retirement, but since I've been writing about happiness later in life, many people who were successful earlier in life have reached out to me to say that retirement has been brutal. They feel unhappy, aimless, and bored, in search of, well, not quite so sure, as some have made bad choices, tanking their marriages, leading to what social sciences call the gray divorce, which doubled in the years from 25 in the 25 years between 1990 and 2015. All right, so let's take a real quick. Let's pause for just a second here. The gray divorce has doubled in the years 1990 in the last 25 years. The gray divorce has doubled in the last 25 years. Anyone want to make a suggestion as to why that may be? All right, so in broad numbers, the gray divorce has doubled in the last 25 years. Who wants to take a claim as to why that may be? Think about it a little bit, because once you kind of think this through, it's not nearly as frightening as it would be, other than people trying to scare you. And it might well be. I don't know. There might be some legitimacy to this. I haven't looked at it. As my contrarian says, the first thing is, let's doubt what they're saying. No, women. Pulverizer says women. Nope. All right. Anybody who wants to take a guess as to why there's something that would be suspect in this? The gray divorce doubled in the 25 years between 1990 and 2015. Hey, Dan, que paso? That's Boone. That's anyone for tennis. All right, so I'll give you a couple more seconds. Tax breaks for single people, government bennies. Nope. All right, so think about it. That doesn't include population increase. All right, so we've had in the 25 years since then, even at 3% population, you're gonna have a significant increase in population. But it's even worse than that. Don't forget, we had a baby boom that happened from 1946 to 1964, and a baby bust, which happened from 1965. I'm part of the baby bust, and through about 1982, I think is what it is. And so the baby boom, which now those people are in the gray area. So not only has the population as a whole increased significantly those 25 years, but we have this mass amount of people who are living, the baby boomers, who are going into that gray years to begin with. So it's not as if it's just magically people are waking up at 64 and say, I can't stand you, Charlotte. You never, you never completed me after all. I'm going out with my girlfriend from Facebook from 50,000 years ago. I mean, there's some of that. I get it. But some of this is just emotional as freaking dribble. They're saying, oh my goodness, we've doubled the gray divorce. Well, yes. I mean, from a pure numbers perspective, sure. But if you think about it, the population as it moves through the system, you got this wave, that's this tidal wave of more and more older people getting there that weren't there in the late, from 1975 to 1990. There wasn't as many older people in the gray numbers as there are from 1990 to 2015. It's just silly. On top of that, you have more people too. Now, some people say, yes, you have, I would say also baby boomers are literally some of the most selfish people out there. It's narcissists. We know that. There's something to be said about that for sure. But you got all these, who is that? I got this book. I haven't read it yet, How to Lie with Statistics. And I even think Bill Gates suggested, I haven't read it yet. It's on there someplace. One of my anti-library books I got to read. But anytime you're just looking at numbers, you just got to say, what are we trying? Why are they saying this? Why are they saying this? What are they trying to promote here? What are they trying to extrapolate? It's kind of no different than the deaths because of, the deaths, like, well, okay. But if you're dying because of something and the actual thing was what killed you was, getting in a car crash, that might challenge the deaths from that number, if you know what I'm saying. So look, man, I'm not, most of you guys are 10 times smarter than me. Hell, we got freaking engineers on here. But what I'm saying is anytime I see these, oh my goodness, I'm married and now I'm gray and we're going to divorce because my wife is going to meet her friend that she used to date on Facebook. Some of that, sure. Probably more of it than there used to be. I get that. But come on. All right. One person told me, since I quit work and I feel like a stranger to myself. The hero's journey is great when you're in the middle of it. The trouble comes when your strengths start to wane because now you're off script. People rarely change the story they constructed for their lives. They raged. Instead, they try to pound their lives back into the story with solid results. I actually completely agree with that, by the way. I've seen that with my own very eyes. With men in particular, they get this nut, which for simplicity, $1,000,000. I got it now. I got F you money. I'm out. So what are you gonna do? I'm gonna play golf. Really? If you draw a blank piece of paper, write down 7 columns here and 3 rows here, Monday, morning, noon, and night. And you're going to play golf. How many of those columns? So you got 7 times 3. You got 21 instances where you can play golf, morning, noon, night. How many of those? What are you going to do when you're not playing golf? But this rage is born from a misunderstanding of the hero's journey. Defining it in the terms of 3 phases makes the mistakes of leaving out the last, which is the critical phase. The returning hero. Exactly. What does the returning hero go to? Are you all familiar with Lord of the Rings? The book, actually, not the movie. The movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, the movie is one of the times I actually like the movie better than the book. In the book, Lord of the Rings, when Frodo and the guys and the gang get back to the Shire, the white Sauron the White has reemerged. He did not get killed. He comes back and he's in the Shire as basically a commie tyrant. It's so disappointing me that they didn't put that Peter Jackson did not put that in the end of the Lord of the Rings, because I was like, man, it's an incredible last part of that, because you're thinking they beat Sauron, the evil, they beat him, you're like, all's good. And then you come back and Sauron somehow was able to manipulate the Shire to fall under his heel. And he's like a commie dictator. It's crazy. And that was pretty interesting. I was not expecting that. And if you haven't read the book, you would never know that happened. And so the hero's phases, now I got Frodo and the gang, they got to come back and they're like, holy crap, now we got to deal with this clown. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't over yet. And the movie, The Lord of the Rings, which was kind of interesting, and that was kind of, once they, beat the evil guy, you're like, okay, now what? Now they get on some ship and they go to Neverland. You're like, okay, what next? It's kind of boring. It's like, okay. But anyway, it's just interesting, the hero's journey. Let's see. Consider the case of King David. He kills the lion, he beats Goliath, he vanquishes Israel's foes, and he unites the nation's 12 tribes. From shepherd boy to supreme ruler, David's journey is a hero journey. But we know what happens with David, right? So who knows what happens to David? I did not know that. So Vinyl said that part of Lord of the Rings is a hit at Clement Attlee's policies. Did not know that. All right. So what happens to David? It's ugly, man. Remember Uriah Heep? I wonder where Uriah Heep got the name Heep to add to Uriah. Anyone know the story of Uriah Heep? There's another good band from Vinyl, and the boys who are a little bit older than me will like. He wakes up from a nap. All right, so anyway, here's David. So he's beat all his enemies. He's beating Goliath. He is sitting there pretty. All the chicks love him. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. I am beautiful. I am King David, for heaven's sake. He's hanging around his palace with a lot of time on his hand. He wakes up from a nap. He goes for a walk on the roof of his palace, and he spies his neighbor's beautiful, beautiful lady, Bathsheba. And she's taking a bath. Right on, man, Bathsheba. Famous long story short, he pursues an adulterous relationship with Bathsheba, gets her pregs, and then sends Uriah off to die. If you haven't read this, you got to read the story of Uriah. He actually sleeps. Just the whole thing is insane. He says, I got to be my troops. I got to be my troops. I got to be my troops. And David sends him to die. It's crazy. Not a good man. And this is why the whole thing with the Bible, they say, if you're a Christian, you're going to be perfect. Remember, this is the Old Testament. All right. So it's not the New Testament. It's pre-Jesus. However, at the end of the day, the whole thing is that, these stories, why would they make these stories up that make us all look crappy? Every single one of us looks bad except for Jesus. They all do. And Mary. But, Mary is she's a human. So she's not of Jesus in terms of she is not without sin. But everybody else looks like crap. The only people that don't look like crap are the people you least expect. It's crazy. But the apostles look like crap. Freaking David looks like crap. Solomon, hell, my goodness, man. All these guys, they all look like crap. Hell, Abraham's about to kill his son. You're like, what are you doing? You can't kill your son, Abraham. Nuts. Would you do that? Ancient Israel's greatest leader, a man of impeccable valor and discipline, comes home from his triumph and then falls prey to a hot chick. Crazy. Oh, I did not know that. Uriah Heep is named after a Dickens character? Ah, jeez Louise. Yeah, David had problems with all the ladies after whipping all the bad guys. Yep. Hero, he turns villainous, not wrought from anything on the battlefield, but precisely because of the banalities and noisy obscenities of life. And failing to live an ordinary life, he failed in the last hardest place of journey, being the master of himself. I'm telling you, man, I trust me, I 100% get it. On a much smaller scale, successful people sometimes behave more or less like David, hurting others and ruining their well-earned reputations later in life by giving in to their desires, vanity, and insecurities. I'm talking about the CEO who, even in the face of deteriorating performance, won't turn over control of the company until she gets shoved out by the board. Or the politician who, rather than cultivating a successor, makes one last run for office in his 80s and loses badly, but they never lose badly. The politicians always get reelected. My own beloved father-in-law, who after a lifetime running his own successful business, put all his savings in a dodgy online investment company that suddenly went poof. Ugh. Though few lives will take a straightforward path of the hero journey, that doesn't mean it's not a useful framework about thinking about your goals. First, have a dream and go for it. Second, remember that reaching your goals is going to hurt if they're worth anything. You'll suffer in your quest. And going back to the book I read about the other day when I was interviewing, what's her name? Carol from the Indie Gardener. Carol from the Indie Gardener, talk about the war of art. You got to lean into sacrifice. If you achieve your goals, savor your victory. But don't forget part 4, the personal crucible. Unless you keel over in the prime of your life, your victories will fade, your skills will decline, and life's problems will intrude. If you try to hang on to glory or lash out when it fades, it will squander your victories and mark an unhappy end to your journey. That's such a happiness. Retirement depends on your choice of narrative. It's funny how they got Trump is losing his mind. Well, they didn't say anything about freaking Steely Joe. But anyway, I love that. That's fantastic. That's a great article. I still think Arthur Brooks, that's got to be the AEI guy, but it's contributing right at the Atlantic. All right. Anyway, so good stuff there, Arthur. Appreciate that. I think I had something else I wanted to. We talked about that. Hold on just a second. Ooh, do we really need fake meat? The Conscious Farmer. I came across this. I haven't read it either, so let's read it. Let me see if I can't make this bigger. Hey, there we go. Do we really need fake meat? The Conscious Farmer, and this is theconsciousfarmer.com. Our grass-fed beef hampers. Let's check this out. I feel left scratching my head when I think about why the world would actually want or need fake or mock meat. The reasons why one may state is needed are exactly the reasons I don't want it. Being purveyors of grass-fed beef, you may well expect us to be down on the fake meats that are increasingly entering the food chain. I raise this conversation not to criticize fake meat, but rather because it gives me an opportunity to explain some of the reasons why grass-fed beef grazed on diverse pastures is a superior choice. Let's look at what the differences in fake meat and our pure grass fed beef are. We know that whole foods are a healthy choice. Even mainstream health agrees, while fake meats are a highly processed product. Fake meats produce products like a fake beef patty and a hamburger are made predominantly of grain and legume, Camp Lejeune, legume, Dustin is a Camp Legume, legume products, but more specifically, they're made of products created by denaturing of these foods. Examples of these are soy protein concentrate, extracted from soybeans and textured wheat from protein. Soy freaking farming goes back as long as a monoculture that's horrible. Soy is horrible, the monoculture, no different than corn with their GMOs. But soy goes back to freaking Ayn Rand. What do you think the communists who took over the Washington, D.C. want? They want a bunch of soy. I don't get what the infatuation of soy on the left is. So they've just been so infatuated with soy, it's crazy. When a food is denatured, one component of the food is isolated for use. In doing so, the goodness of it is often stripped out, taking away critical vitamins and minerals. Not only that, but also missing our secondary compounds or phytochemicals naturally found in plants. Things like polyphenols, flavonoids, aromatic oils, and alkaloids. These are rarely talked about with the relation of food. We hear of the primary compounds, protein, carbs, energy, and minerals, but rarely do we hear of the secondary compounds. There are thousands of these different compounds, the combination of a large variety of which contributes to overall the well-being. They're like your nature's medicines. They are the things responsible for why red wine is said to be good for your heart and why certain herbs can aid health. Secondary plant compounds have many roles in your body, including appetizing, digestive, and therapeutic purposes. When fake meat is produced, a grain or legume is broken down into components. Many of the vitamins, minerals, and secondary compounds are either destroyed or removed from the final product. So the energy of the food is consumed, but is hollow and lacking nourishment. Devoid of vitamins and minerals, these are added back in by food chemists, processing. But it's not the same as a natural form. And it seems the quantities added back are somewhat unusual. Do I need 2,350% of my daily requirements of vitamin B1 in one meal? Just because it's made of plants doesn't mean it's good for you. I'm not sure why there seems to be this assumption. In the case of real meat, pure, 100% grass-fed beef like ours, the cows grow on diverse pastures, have access to a variety of the secondary plant compounds, which enables them to use their intuition and choose plants as they graze to self-medicate and ensure their own well-being. This results in meat-rich and the benefits of the secondary compounds and nourishment for us as we consume it. GMOs. I know that many of you reading this will be concerned about the potential health impacts of GMOs. GMO technology is used in the production of fake meat products. This comes from a website describing a faux beef patty. It is made using a yeast engineered with a gene for soy, legumoglobulin. First, we grow a yeast via fermentation. Easy to do. You can do that with just your starter if you want to make some bread. Then we isolate the soy legumoglobulin containing heme from the yeast and add it to the Impossible Burger. I don't know about you, but I read highly processed and genetically modified there. So if you like to avoid GMOs, you may like to check the ingredients in any fake meat products. There are no GMOs at all in raising and feeding our cows because they're not corn-fed, they're grass-fed, and hence none in our grass-fed beef. Another reason why I was claiming we need fake meat is because animals are destroying the land. This can be true when they're not managed well and overgrazing is allowed. What is exciting, however, is that the opposite can be true. When managed well, animals can actually be the tool that helps to heal the land. Plants, there are millions of little pumps pumping life in the soil. The basis of that life is carbon. It's the building block of all living things. Plants take it from the air and make sugars via photosynthesis. They use these sugars to grow and yield, and they push some sugars out of the root systems into the soil where they feed microbiology of the soil, the fungi, bacteria, and more. The soil microbes use these carbon-rich sugars to build healthy living topsoil. A diversity of plants is crucial. Diversity, not a monoculture. To support a diversity of soil microbes necessary for doing the different jobs required for soil health. Our soils, this is the area when we have runoffs and stuff like that. It's just monoculture. When you have these huge, massive runoffs going to the Gulf of Mexico and whatnot, it's painful, man. Topsoil is just, our soil is just being destroyed. And I hate to say it, but a lot of it's modern day agriculture. It really is. Now, look, I live in a suburban area. I get all that. But if you can do anything, it's just to get your local produce, at least your freaking kale, carrots and stuff made from a local guy, a CSA that we talked about with Carol the other day. You don't want that monoculture stuff, just shit from freaking other, over the road. That's not good, man. If you can just, look, you might have to pay. And I don't care about the organic stuff. I could care less. I do care about locally produced. I don't care about organic. It doesn't bother me. I do care about locally produced though. Absolutely. I do care about it's almost like Polyface Farms, Joel Salatin up in Stanton, Virginia. Polyface, multiple, monoculture, bad, polyface, poly, where you're having different plants and it's just so important for the topsoil. And our topsoil is being depleted right from our very eyes. Having ground cover on our soils as living plants or mulch trampled to the ground by cows helps to keep the soils cool and moist, which protects those amazing bugs that are so integral to the building and regeneration of the soil. The trampled mulch is also another source of carbon to the soil bugs to complement the liquid carbon sugars that come from the plant roots. The thing is to have these actively growing plants. Yes, actively. It's a ground cover. Winter rye, poppies, things of that nature, a ground cover. So critical to keep the stuff moist, to keep the fungi, to keep the bacteria in there. Livestock to graze the plants, they will grow, be grazed, regrow, and pump life in the soil as they do. Livestock to trample plant material that be laid down in form of mulch on the soil. Livestock to add manure and urine, lots of nitrogen in your urine. Have you seen grasses ungrazed or uncut? Their leaves become dry, old, and gray, at which time there's no growth and no pumping of carbon-rich plant sugars feeding into the soil by the roots. The land rested for too long will become stagnant. All right. Aren't cows a climate change pest? All right, I'm going to stop there because I just think that's pretty good. So this right here is Meet the Farmers from Conscious Farmer. Let's check. I don't know anything about these guys. I came across this. I forgot. Here we go. So hi there. We're Derek and Carolee Bloomfield, and together with our boys Patrick and Riley, we produce beautiful, nourishing grass-fed beef on our family-owned farm in Liverpool Plains of NSW. I'm not sure what that is. Is that in England or is that Australia or something like that? We're passionate about healthy eating and strive to provide your family and our family with the most nutritious, chemical-free beef as possible. All right, cool. That's is your methods. Look at that. He's laying. Oh man, that's fantastic. That's what you want to see right there. Are these guys Australian? Anyone? NSW? Yeah, I saw Australia. I saw it right in there someplace. Right? Oh, maybe I did not. There we go. So these guys are. It all comes down to passion. Contact. Let's just see real quick. Yeah, NSW is North. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so something. Karuna NSW. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, that's pretty cool. All right, so let's see what you guys are saying here. Oops. There we go. So if you're in Australia, I got a guy on it, New South Wales, right on, man. Vegetables from Mexico are loaded with chemicals. Stay away. It's about management, just like the forest. Eliminate the industry. You eliminate those who have a vested interest in protecting the resource. Yep, completely agree. Australians not only surrendered their guns to the government, they've gone crazy, man, and they have a supposedly right wing government. And that was a left wing, I get it, but now they got a right wing government, and they're not getting the rights back. You give up your rights and never give them back. This is why Wayne LaPierre will ever be one of my heroes, because he stood up when it seemed like everyone was against the Second Amendment. Wayne LaPierre and the NRA stood up, and they said, "We are here, and we're not going down." Charlton Heston. I could not. And that was in 1998. I will never forget this. Wayne LaPierre said on one of those talk shows, so Sunday morning friggin' Jab Fest, Bill Clinton is fine with a certain level of violence as long as that can get rid of the Second Amendment, lead to more regular restrictions on firearms. And everybody and their mom were screaming bloody murder, man. Everybody and their mom. Because Bill Clinton, won re-election in 96, going away because Dole was just not a good candidate. Dole was essentially what the Republicans did, what the Democrats did with Biden. It just, they happened to be like, whoa, we didn't expect to win. Dole was Biden was their version of Dole, that's for sure. Anyway, long story short, in 98, the Democrats won. They didn't win Congress back, but it's getting close. Kind of like we see now in 2020 with Republicans gaining seats, and it's like the House is like this. The Senate is like this. So the Republicans got that red wave coming in 2022. It's kind of what it looked like in 1998 is becoming more and more so, like the Democrats are getting ready to take back Congress. It didn't happen. It's pretty close though. But anyway, long story short, Wayne LaPierre stood up to him, and they were freaking out. The Republicans were freaking out, like, what do you think about Wayne LaPierre saying Bill Clinton wants a certain level of violence and not gun control? They're like, I'm so scared. John McCain, I'm scared. And Al Gore ran in 2000 to register your handguns, a federal registration a la Australia and Canada to register your handguns. He ran that as his freaking platform. No one's talking about that now. I mean, the idiots are talking about it, but it's not happening, man. Again, the greatest salesman of guns of all time was Barack Obama. The greatest salesman of Goya food products of all time, AOC. The greatest salesman of vaccines. I'll let you figure that one out. Who's going around there now saying the greatest salesman of vaccines? That is a frustration point of me. Yep, I'm a lifetime member too. Yeah, GOA is good too, man. Gun Owners of America. A lot of people get on the NRA. They're not good enough. Like they're okay with the bump stock ban. Look, man, I get it, but I 100% get it. I wish the NRA in some ways was a little bit more, but there was the GOA. While fine, it wasn't GOA. I don't even know who the guy was in charge of GOA back in 1998, but I do remember it was Wayne LaPierre. That's when I became a life member in 1998. I said, that dude's freaking, he doesn't care. And I will never forget that. And some of y'all like Harry, you may or may not remember that. I don't know. Pipe in if you do, but he was freaking person non grata, man. Everyone, remember, I was in Phoenix by then, but we had lived in I went to school in Fairfax, Virginia. That's George Mason. And the NRA headquarters is in Fairfax, Virginia. Now, back then, Virginia was a moderately red state, but even Fairfax was just right outside D.C. And they were protesting NRA headquarters there all the time. One of my roommates did an internship at the NRA. And it's just like they hate the NRA because the NRA is it's like they hate Trump. It's the same thing because NRA doesn't back down. And so they hate. And so what they're doing, my friends, just FYI, the reason they hate the NRA, the reason they hate Trump is because they're so effective. And what they don't even care so much about the NRA, about Trump so much. They care about other people who are having sneaky or thinking like that. They say, look, we're going to hate these guys so hard, not because we care all that much about Trump and the NRA, but people who don't have the same spine will be less eager to engage, if that makes sense. And so you got a bunch of Mittens and Paul Ryans and Pat Toomey's and stuff that seem like to be eager to engage, but they just don't have the spine because they don't believe. They truly don't believe. Like Trump believes in America. Wayne LaPierre believes in the gun rights. He says, like my man says, from God, not from the government. They have a belief. Pat Toomey, he just wants to push legislation. That's not a true belief. Jeff Flake, same thing. That's not a true belief. The lady from Arizona, I forgot her name back in the late 90s, who pushed for school choice. I can't remember, attractive lady. I just forgot her name. She believed in school choice. She was a secretary of education, and she said, and they hated her. Not because they want to take them out, but because they want other people to say, yeah, I'm probably not going to engage. And that's why you got to support the people who are fighting back the most. Because they're not I hate to say it, but David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, look, I'm going to vote for them. I hope they win. I'll probably donate some money. But at the end of the day, they're not what's going to get us over the winning line. It's going to be the people who have the guts to continue to fight because the NRA is the world, the Donald Trump's the world. The Rand Pauls of the world. Do you hear Rand Paul now going after Fauci? Oh, it's freaking awesome. Awesome. The Thomas Masseys, who say, I'm not afraid to tackle, to work with AOC to get rid of the Patriot Act. This is the stuff that you got to support because that is where you tell the left, you're not going to silence me. And the more people that join the people who won't be silenced, the more people, it's strength in numbers, man, strength in numbers. The koala in the tree is a giveaway. Oh, I didn't see that. Not safe for work. Right on, man. I've had a few head of cattle. Most calves are sent off to feedlots and corn feed. Yep. You made 50K in the morning, then went out to lunch. Who made 50K in the morning? In California, you have to have a background check to buy. Yeah, you got it. California's done, man. Yeah, if you don't fight for liberty, it's your own fault. Look what's going on in California, man. And you get who you vote for. But I didn't vote for it. Well, then you got to leave. I mean, I hate to say it, it's just that simple. I mean, you got to, if the freaking commies are coming down at you, you got to depart because they're not going to free you from. I mean, this stuff in California is just, it's insanity, man. All right, let's read this too here, by the way. Let's see, Jill, organics important for some vegetables and fruits more than others. Lots of pesticides out there, bad news. Yeah, look, I'm not anti-organic, Jill. I just find it to be very cliched, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of people make a big deal. And now that the government is involved in making sure it's organic, it's all just a fake stuff. It's not literally fake stuff. It's like this guy was on me because I said, "Oh, there's a vaccine for the flu. It seems to work real well." I said, and he was saying, "Oh, so you're saying there's no vaccine for the flu?" That's it's like, dude, there's a vaccine for the flu, but it certainly hasn't eradicated the flu. Can we stop this? It's the same thing. I'm not anti-organic. I frankly, it doesn't bother me all that much. I'm not one of these guys like organic or bust because it's just not for me. But some people can do it. I don't care. I'm not spending more money on organic stuff just because that's the word organic. And the facts are the government, it's a big industry now to be organic. And anytime it's a big industry with the government blessing, we bless you from the Pope. It's all fake. Regenerative. I'm all about. That means using not monoculture, using polyphase, polyculture, things of that nature. Speaking of which, Jill, if you don't mind, my wife was getting ready to throw out some potatoes that had chits on them. I said, "You don't throw those potatoes out." Oh my goodness. So I can't remember. Maybe you know, Jill, but can you plant tomatoes in North Georgia now? I know potatoes are pretty hardy. I just can't remember if I can plant them now, if I need to wait a couple months until the frost is over. Because I do have some soil out there that's been turned, compost that's been turned pretty good. And it's got worms in there. It looks good, man. I just wonder if I can dig those down and put those suckers in. Cut them up. The potatoes, they got chits on them. Cut them up and put them in the ground. If anyone knows, yeah, most people can't tell monoculture from monoculture. Right on, man. It's simple. If God made it, eat it. If man made it, don't eat it. God made meat. I could not agree more. Yeah. Oh, soy contains estrogen, leading to more breast cancer in women and feminization of boys. I got my man Denny says he's just finished a ribeye. Man, I got a brisket that's been sous videing for 24 hours. After this, I'm going to take it off. Yeah, on sous vide. So I just started. I learned this, by the way. It does evaporate pretty quickly if you don't have the top on it. It turns out, and I don't have a top. I gotta get a top. Anyway, long story short. So if the water evaporates where it's no longer sitting fully in the water, it will stop. If that makes sense. I did not know that. This is the only second time I've done it. The first time was freaking awesome. I took a piece of I forgot what I did. Chuck roast, I think. I forgot, but I forgot, but man, it was like freaking snorting cocaine. Now I've never snorted cocaine. I just imagine that's what it's like. It was so flipping good. Oh, anyway, I can't wait. I'm gonna sous vide some chicken tomorrow. Apparently, you only need to go 4 hours on chicken. Oh, yeah, fake meats lead to fake stocks on which you can make real money, man. Steely Joe sounds like he's turned to a hipster. Exactly. You got it. That's why I said Steely. Get it right on. Heap is in David Copperfield. All right. All right, guys. So we talked about that. So we can talk about soy. All right, right on. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All eyes on. And Congress, you have to, okay, right on. Biden wants your guns. Beto's going to do his bidding. Yeah. I'm not all worried about that. I'm not, man, just because look, at the end of the day, forcing you to wear, I'm not doing it, but forcing people to wear masks is one thing. Taking things away is a whole different ballgame. I still think the reason why this whole shutdown, this is where I still blame Trump. And look, I know many of you are getting back, and I don't blame Trump, but I know it's a federalism and states' right. I get all that. Huge violation of civil liberties across the country under Trump's watch. And the only reason that this was allowed was because a Republican was a president. If Clinton or Obama were in office, there's no Republican would have gone along. And I say no, again, when I say that, I'm throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I'm sure there is Charlie Baker and some idiots and Larry Hogan. Hell, even Mike the Swine would have done in Ohio, probably. I don't know. But the vast majority of Republicans would have said, no, we're not doing this. But because it was like the Republicans, they had this fear of the election. They said, we'll go on to get along, just to make sure that the election goes our way, not realizing they're walking to a trap. And they just don't think outside. They just don't have enough sense to recognize you give an inch, they take a freaking 100 yards, man. And then so once you acknowledge that there is a need for mandates and masks and lockdowns, well, what do you do when it comes back? Like in California, what do you do when it comes back? I mean, hell, other states have a comeback. What do you do? It didn't work the first time. Why? Because those guys, you're going to put a freaking yellow star in your arm if you refuse to wear a mask, don't get tested, don't show a vaccine on your phone. Those guys, what do you do when it comes back? You're going to have a right enemy, which is the people who didn't go along with the crap to begin with. It's just that simple. And then, do you see the New York Times? They changed the headline today. They said, despite huge lockdowns or massive lockdowns or something like that, coronavirus roars back in California. They changed that headline when I'm sure Governor Newsom said, you can't say that. So they said, California, they're counting the dead by the hours now because of COVID. So they changed the headline because this is how the media works. It's Orwellian. Despite massive lockdowns, coronavirus is roaring back in California. A couple hours later, no, we didn't say it like that. We said in California, they count coronavirus by the deaths by the hour now or something like that. It's like, but once you grant the premise, you can't go back from that. And this is why Abbott, what the hell, man? This is why I still, at the end of the day, Brian Kemp did it right, and Trump freaking sold him short. It still pisses me off. I'm sorry. Kemp said we're not doing this, and Trump freaking threw him under the bus. And then now Trump needs him, and Brian Kemp's like, look, I don't know what's going on with Brian Kemp. I don't think he's stop the communist stuff with this guy. He's pissed, rightly so. They called this guy. Do you not remember what they said about Brian Kemp in late April, early May? They were saying it was like going to be. It was horrible stuff they're saying about this guy, and he got no backing from Trump. Trump was even saying, yeah, he needs to. Because Trump fell for the freaking Fauci that said, if we just do this for 2 weeks, we'll be on with it. I mean, look, I love Trump, but you can't, you got to say when he screws up, he screwed this up royally. So he freaking goes against Brian Kemp, who was freaking doing what he was supposed to be doing, saying, look, we can't shut people down. We can't. And yet Trump was nowhere to be found. All it took was for Trump to freaking support Kemp and DeSantis and Kristi Noem. He didn't do it, man. He didn't. Remember, Trump is a germaphobe. I still think Trump, in his mind's eye, his heart, feels that this is still. I bet he still thinks this is as bad as, because he's a germaphobe. My wife, I remember, I probably told you, I'm sure I did. She used to manage. She used to be in analyzing bond funds for Pilgrim Funds, their high yield fund, back in the late '90s, and she'd get on conference calls, and Trump was on conference calls trying to sell his crappy bonds, his junk bonds. And long story short, they discuss some of the portfolio managers and the analysts and stuff that say, yeah, everywhere Trump goes, he's like a big germaphobe. And that hasn't gone away. And so germaphobes hate viruses, and he's worried about the virus. And he says, oh my goodness, that can't happen under my watch. But I get it. But just anyway, so now Kemp's got approval rating of 11%, I heard. I don't know that to be, I haven't verified it, but I heard some guy saying Kemp's approval rating is 11%. Because Republicans, if I can tell you one thing, you're never going to appease the left. You never will. So don't try to appease the left. By sacrificing your base to appease the left, you're going to end up with neither. It's what do you say? For those who sacrifice liberty for security, get neither. Whatever it is. That's what Ben Franklin said, I think. And the same thing, the Republican Party, man. Those who sacrifice their base to appease the other side are going to have an 11% approval rating. I don't understand why the Democrats never do this. Never do this. The Republicans always do. And then they become like Steve Schmidt, who now registers as a Democrat. No one cares about this guy anymore. So here was a guy who ran John McCain's campaign. Said you cannot use Jeremiah Wright against Obama because that'd be racist. He held that self like a badge of honor, badge of courage. And while he's living large as a Republican strategist on MSNBC who hates Trump, their country is not living large, that's for sure. Anyway, now he's a Democrat. We'll never hear from this guy again because they don't care. They got, freaking crusty white guy Democrats in their 60s are a dime a dozen. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, okay, we need a Republican to bash the Republican Party. So Kasich is up. Joe Scarborough is up. We don't want just some run-of-the-mill Democrat. That's good. We got a million of them. Just lesson. If you're going to freaking appease your opponents, they will never support you. Can you understand that, Brian Kemp, Puffenbarger? My goodness, man. So damn frustrating. ATF rated 80% polymer last week and collected sales record, also taking public comment on their new guidance and pistol braces. Yeah, man. Yeah, Tom Cotton, that's another one. Love some Josh Hawley, Tom Cotton, Terrible Ted Cruz. I got a couple of the guys that I think Tommy Tuberville is going to be coming around nice. I like him. I think he's not going to be freaking, from Alabama. We got some other guys out there. I'm thinking, not Gramnesty, Tim Scott, not much. Don't like Nikki Haley. Seems like I'm missing a couple guys that are pretty good out there. I forgot now, but don't like that guy don't like Langford. I do like Jim. Is Inhofe still out? I think Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma is still out there. I think I might have to move to Oklahoma. Langford, don't trust him as far as I could kick him. Who's a freaking other Texas senator? We got, that guy, whatever. He's better than I. Rick Scott, Rick Scott. I like, for governor, I love DeSantis. Just going through Mississippi. Is Cochran still there in Mississippi, or did he finally retire? Because they went after the swamp went after they had a good guy running against Cochran, and they went out the swamp and ran after him, and they got some squish in there in Mississippi. The guy from Louisiana, Kennedy, like him. I do like Kennedy. I just off the top of my head, I can't remember. My wife and I planted 1,000 garlic plants in early November. Oh, cool, man. All right, cool. Early April. Ooh, Carol said early April for potatoes. So, all right, gotcha. McCarthy, majority leader, he will fight for us guns. And I don't know, Kim. 2 white-tailed deer feed us for a year. Exercise your Second Amendment rights while feeding your family and healthy food at the same time. No potatoes now. We just had 12 inches of snow in Connecticut. No, okay. My wife and I planted 1,000 garlic plants. We mowed some with leaves. Yeah, man. I got. I put on my. I don't do winter rye. I do pop. Pop is another thing. It's a. Oh my goodness, freaking gorgeous. These little. I forgot what they're called. My man. I am organic gardening. I am organic gardening. Mark at I am organic gardening up in New Jersey. Winter rye. Poppy, and there's something else he uses. It's some kind of clover, crimson clover. Oh, those things are so flipping good. Not poppies, crimson clover. That's what it is. It's so gorgeous. Oh my goodness, that's your cover crop. Oh my goodness. Hey, Alan, Merry Christmas to you, sir. Can we still say that on YouTube, or is that going to be offensive? Wear a mask and a gun. That's the way to go. My pistol wears a mask. It's called a holster. Oh man. When they say when not wearing a mask, wait, what do they say? When not wearing a mask is outlawed, only outlaws won't wear masks. I'm butchering it. I thought it was pretty good. Doctor, I tell you, man, Dan, the indoctrinated sheep. That's it's just, I don't get it. I sit there and I say to myself, it's just weird. I don't understand. No. But then I think, look, man, at the end of the day, so Burgess Owens today, all right, he's a black guy. All right, he talked about his granddad volunteered for World War I. His dad volunteered for World War II. If they can do that when the country hated these men for nothing more than being black, we can fight the good fight internally for a country that is starting to hate us, especially white men in particular. I get it, but they still hate black men who don't toe the party line even more. As much as white guys are being held in with animosity, it's individual thinking black guys, Jericho Greens, Officer Tatum, all these guys, they hate them more, man, because they're off the plantation. And if these guys can do it, we can do it. We can stand up and fight the good fight. If black men who could not vote and who came back from war and were brutalized by horrible cops in South Carolina, honorable heroes by these clown ass cops in South Carolina and other places too, all over the country, heroes, man. If they can do it and still maintain a love for this country, my goodness, what are we griping about? You see what I'm saying? I always want to put that in perspective. We have heroes that would not see rights in their lifetime, and they still fought. They still put their head down. They still did what they had to do, talking to people, smiling, telling people the truth, and slowly but surely it changed. Surely it changed. What are we griping about? I mean, yeah, we should gripe, but why are we being all like, I'm not voting, I'm gonna show those guys? Now, screw that, man. Yeah, how do you do that when just in one generation ago we had American heroes who were denied that right? It's insane to me. People get all upset, like, about. Look, man, I got nothing but my respect for the black community who's come out from the horrific crap they've had to do within American Indians to some degree. I'm not as familiar with American Indians just because it's not. I don't know why. I'm just not all that educated on that plight. Obviously I live in Georgia, Trail of Tears and all that, but hasn't been of interest to me. Maybe because the musicians and stuff that I followed, I don't know why. But the plight of black Americans has always been something I've had nothing but incredible respect and frankly just like awe. I'm saying, how do you? And which is why it pains me so much when that community is being devastated by liberals. It's liberalism that's killing these people literally killing them. And yet a lot of them don't see it. He's like, oh, I don't understand. But maybe Trump was the straw that broke the camel's back to say, hey, it's okay to come to the good side. I hope. Anyway, the issue is that if these guys, Burgess Owens now, and I don't want, who did, I think it was, who did, it was Terrence Williams, I think, from the slave house to the White House or something like that. I can't remember. Terrence Williams, who I like too, who I found through my wife, by the way. But that's kind of cliche now that my granddad couldn't vote. Now here I'm a congressman. That story has been played. But with that said, don't forget Burgess Owens' granddad fought in World War I. Burgess Owens' dad fought in World War II. Now Burgess Owens, who obviously was in the Raiders, but now he's a congressman in Utah's 4th district, which was represented initially by Mia Love, and then she became squishy. It was weird. I don't understand what happened to her either. Strange. And then she lost, and now Burgess Owens won it back. Thank goodness. And he's not going to lose in 2022. Our party doesn't really lose seats. So this is what sucks about my own rep, Lucy McBath, and she's a lib. She won in 2018, is close. She won this past time, but she ran against Karen Handel, who's just, anyway, it's once you're in there 2 years, 2 terms, it's hard to lose, even in off your election. But Lucy McBath should be front and center for Republicans to try to take out. But once you're in there 1 term, you're a good chance you could lose. Once you're in there 2, it becomes less, and then 3, you're pretty much solidified. And then they gerrymander, and then you're in like Flynn, which sucks, man. So this is Newt Gingrich's district, and now it's run for 2 consecutive terms now. Lucy McBath, it's painful, and just tell you, how hard of a life has she lived? She'll tell you. She'll happy to tell you how hard of a life. It's like John Kasich. My dad was a mailman. Okay. Anyway, I just sit there and I am in awe of American blacks. I really am. And I sit there in awe of a guy like Burgess Owens. And don't forget, there are, many men and women, but men, athletes who couldn't even play. Remember, Sam Bam Cunningham went to USC instead of Alabama because even though I think he could still play in Alabama, I don't think they wanted him. I think he could by law at that point, but I think I can't remember the story, but he went to USC. Then when USC played Alabama, Sam Bam Cunningham ran all over Alabama. And that was kind of the end of Paul Bear Bryant, if that makes sense. And then, of course, he was drafted by the Patriots. I think he was number 39. Anyway, will they elect a Democrat? They're not going to elect State. I got to itch my back. Sorry, I know it's kind of, my wife hates when I do that, but they're not going to elect Stacey Abrams. She's not going to win. She is too. She's like to Trump's, to my disdain. The facts are Trump did have a lot of enemies on both sides of the political equation. That's for sure. Kind of like Hillary. So a lot of people voted for Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Sniffy Joe, Steely Joe. They voted for him, but without question, a lot of people have voted against Trump. I don't think we can deny that. I don't think we can deny that. There was a lot of anti-Trump votes. That's a fact. Stacey Abrams has the same thing. And you got to have more than, you got to have, no one cares about Stacey Abrams. When I say no one cares, yes, the media is going to put her out. She's not going to win. And that will be in 2022 as well. Yeah, 2022. She's not winning. I'm just telling you right now. No way. I mean, look, I could be wrong, but there's no way. With that said, Kemp, well, I only take that back, because if Kemp runs for re-election, he just, people are going to remember this, man. I mean, I'll vote for I'm not voting for Puffenbarger. I'll tell you that right now. There's no way I can vote for that guy. Kemp, I have some sympathy for, because Trump threw him under the bus. So that still pisses me off. But at the end of the day, your freaking country is worth more than your freaking, your ego. And the same goes with Trump, by the way. But still, at the end of the day, Kemp, I don't think I could vote for him. I just don't. I'd probably vote for a libertarian. And I think there's a lot of MAGA people like that. So I don't think Kemp would run for re-election. I just don't. If his approval rating is truly at 11%, there's no way. And then we got some clown, some freaking, I forgot, Jeffrey, was spelled with a G, as our not Secretary of State, Attorney General, Jeffrey. I didn't like him when he ran in the primary. I voted against this guy. He's like, I played minor league baseball. I know what it's like to succeed, just like Donald Trump. And I said, nah, you freaking clown, dude. I knew it. I knew he was a faker. I just tell that guy's a faker. And now that, when the truth is needed, he fakes. He said, oh, just like these other guys. The election was totally on the up and up in Georgia. I don't know what happened. The communists didn't buy these people out. I don't know what happened. I don't understand. I just think it's the path of least resistance. It's like electricity, man. Damn, I just so frustrating. Oh, all right. Trump was close with DeSantis. I think, yes, James, 100% now. Yep. Now, do you blame Trump for Fauci, or do you blame Pence? Because remember, Pence was in charge of the coronavirus task force. Whatever happened to freaking the scarf lady, by the way? Yeah, I 100%, Jill. Kemp won't let those machines be examined. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, man. They love McCain in Arizona, though, and he appeased left all the time. Yeah, well, McCain, to his credit, did have, he was a freaking hero in battle. It's going to be tough, tough to go against that. And don't forget, man, the constituent service goes a long way. My mom voted for Olympia Snowe, even though she's a far lefty. Why? Constituent services, man. Olympia Snowe was our congressman in Portland, Cumberland County. Went on to become senator. My mom supported, even though she voted for Bernie. I think she gave money to Elizabeth Warren. My mom's nuts, but she voted for Olympia Snowe, and probably would have done the same for Susan Collins, because constituent service. That's why incumbents win all the time, because they have the power of the incumbency. It's all there is to it, man. Constituent services goes a long way. A lot of Democrats are going to vote for McCain because when he needed help with, when a widow needed help with her survivor benefit plan because the DOD was screwing her over, she called McCain's office. And McCain's office fixed it. It's just the way it is, man. Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, Trump. I think Fauci was the. I don't know why. I've said this 1,000 times. I hate to be a broken record, but if you survive 50 years in DC, there's something wrong with you, man. And I don't know why Trump's going to drain the swamp, and yet he's going to put Fauci. Look, man. At the end of the day, I think we got to call a spade a spade. Trump made some critical mistakes. He's going to drain the swamp, and yet Fauci, you can't find a bigger swamp thing than that guy. I mean, the swamp isn't actually, the politicians aren't even the part of the swamp that we need to be concerned with. It's the bureaucratic state. Fauci. It's a critical mistake at the most critical time. Trust Fauci. I just don't understand it. I think I have a sneaky suspicion because Trump likes to have his butt kissed, man. There's no other way around that. You kiss his butt, he'll back you. You don't kiss his butt, he won't. And that's thin skin. Fauci is the chief butt kisser. That's why he survived all these years. And politicians want nothing more than to be loved. We know that. That's why they run for office. They just would have. I just think if he would have had Scott Atlas from the get-go, but or the guy from Stanford, the Greek guy, or freaking the other guy from Stanford, the Nobel Prize winner. But it's too late, man. It's too little, too late. It's frustrating. Yeah, but I don't know, man. If Trump won on the land, I mean, maybe Jill, but what do you say in 2016? I mean, it wasn't a landslide in 2016. I mean, maybe because we know that there's some stuff happening, but 2016 was pretty close. It really was. And I mean, 10,000 votes in Michigan. You know what I'm saying? What I don't know what it was in Pennsylvania, but I think 77,000 votes between Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. I think the Republicans get too caught up in the electoral college landslide. And then they see that map and they see all the red, but the red isn't indicative of the population. And there's a guy on Exploding Data, I think is what it's called, who does a map of the country with population data. And if you look at it, not the geography, the square miles that red represents versus blue, but the actual population, it shows a whole different story. It really does, because the urban areas are huge when it comes to population, and they're just huge. And it doesn't take much. It takes one Northern Virginia to take over the whole Commonwealth of Virginia. It takes one freaking Chicago to take over the whole Illinois for decades. I mean, it takes one Nashville potentially to take over Tennessee, and Austin, Houston, Dallas to take over Texas. It doesn't take much. And so while the geographic proportions look red, I think we fall for that. Like, look at the country, it's all red. It's not, man. Not from a population perspective. And geography doesn't vote, people vote. And I think at the end of the day, we get a little bit too cocky when we see that red versus blue map and the geography. I think we need to look at the population. And I still think we got to look back. Bush did not win second in a landslide in 2004. He didn't win in a landslide in 2000. It just didn't. George H.W. Bush did, but don't forget, he was down. We got to doubt the polls. I mean, he's down significantly in July. All right. Now, don't forget, Carter was up significantly in 80. So we still got to doubt that. But still, at the end of the day, in the last 30 years, Clinton didn't win in a landslide, but he smoked George H.W. Bush. Would pro voters gone to George H. or gone to Clinton? Everyone disputes this. I don't know. But either way, Clinton did win 43%. Bush had 37%, and pro had the rest, 19, I think. In 96, Clinton won. He didn't get 50, but he smoked Dole, but he did not get 50. Right? He was a minority president, but he smoked Dole still because pro took some votes. 2000, literally, it came down to a couple hundred votes in Florida. I mean, that's that simple. Now, again, I think there's a lot of problems with the way we vote here, 100%, even though the Democrats were saying that just last year. But then 2004, Bush didn't win going away. It was like, what, 280 to 60 or so, 65. I mean, the electoral college was just tiny. 2008, Obama wasn't going away because McCain sucked. But again, if McCain would have, don't forget, it was in September that McCain had the lead because Sarah Palin had the right energized. And then Steve Schmidt, that idiot, said, let's get off the campaign trail and show everybody how serious we are. It's just idiotic, man. Why would anyone hire? This thing about political people, why do you keep hiring these people, man? They're losers. They're losers. You know, are you going to hire a coach who goes freaking 0-16? No. Why do you keep hiring these guys who lose everywhere they go? It's Steve Schmidt. That's the guy who managed McCain's, but he just, the only reason they're hiring him is for the Rolodex. That's it. But you're like, when are you going to win? We need a couple victories on the board there, guy. That's why Steve Schmidt's going to the Democrats, because he knows no Republicans can ever hire him because he has no win. He's got no wind under his belt, none whatsoever. Year after year after year, the guy loses, and yet Republicans still hire the guy. It's crazy. Well, anyway, then Obama won. It was a lot closer than we thought, and I still think there's a lot that was closer. But Obama won in 2012. Pretty substantially. I mean, not a huge landslide, but pretty. It really wasn't all that close, even with shenanigans. 2016, Trump won, but he probably won more than what the end numbers were. But you know, we're still talking. We'll say 400,000 votes. He won by, and taking away California, I'm talking about, with the swing states. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just, and then I don't know. I just, where were the landslides? We haven't had any for Republicans since George H.W. Bush, and we just haven't. And I just, once you give away California and New York right out of the gate, Illinois, California, New York are gone. You know what I'm saying? Now we've solidified Florida, which is good because we've got the voting rules cleaned up there. But it's always going to be close, which is why Republicans are idiots not to make sure that the voting, the rolls are clean, because we're already on a huge deficit as it is. Yeah, I can't. Michigan, Bill Shute ran against Whitmer. He was a friend of the Bush family. Yeah, easier to have clean votes in a large population, 100%. The damage that can, no, I agree with that, Dan. The damage that can take place by with now into 2024 is horrifying. If for those of you guys who get real nervous on this, well, you know, I do, but I watch my man Michael Malice. If I can, I'll show you this video I was just watching. Hold on just a second. History. Yeah, right here. Follow this guy. I'm a fan of Malice. Now, Malice used to work, a big libertarian guy, used to work in the late 90s in libertarian think tanks and stuff. And he's actually optimistic. He's actually quite optimistic. And the reason he's optimistic, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I completely agree. He's pretty optimistic, actually. I was just listening. I said, man, that makes sense. I forgot what it was. I'm drawing a blank because there's lots of things to be optimistic. I think the woke stuff is gone. I think the Democrats have gotten to bed with the woke stuff, and they're not going to win from that. It's bad. I think people are pissed off by that, and we'll see. But I'm somewhat optimistic. I'm not going to lie to you. It'll be more optimistic if we retain these 2 Senate seats. That's for sure, because then we can put a kibosh on the nominees that Biden proposes. Don't forget, McConnell doesn't have to bring any of them. I mean, that's what I like about McConnell. He's the swamp guy. I wish people would stop saying, this actually bothers me. McConnell's wife, just because she's Taiwanese, doesn't mean she's in bed with the CCP. I find that to be, I don't like that at all, frankly. Someone from Taiwan is in bed with the CCP, and I don't think so. I see that on some right-wing stuff, and I don't like that in the least. That's not good. That's ugly, and I think we should stop that. Now, does that mean McConnell's not a swamp dweller? Of course he is, absolutely. But McConnell is why we got these judges we have, because of McConnell. You gotta, at the end of the day, he might not be perfect, but don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. And if he can be elected, if these 2 in Georgia can be elected, McConnell could put the kibosh on any of Biden's. Literally, he could say, "I'm not nominating anybody." I mean, I'm not sure that'd be good, because then the Democrats control Senate. They could do the same thing. But I mean, he could do whatever he wants. He controls the Senate. He goes, no, we're not taking any of these people to a vote. They're too far left. We're not going to bring them to a vote, which is good. Bring us a more moderate candidate, we'll bring it to a vote. But you bring us these clowns, we're not bringing them to a vote. I'm okay with that, man. Now, again, the administrative state is what sucks because they don't need a vote for that. But that's what Trump was supposed to do: is clean the swamp. And he didn't have the chance because Republicans are part of it, knee deep. I 100% agree, Vinyl. I don't think Biden's going to be very effective at all. I just don't. I'm telling you. That's one of the reasons I'm optimistic. No one likes Kamala. No one likes Biden. No one likes these guys. You cannot be president from your basement. Okay, the media can carry water for you to some extent. At some point, you can't be president from the basement. And every time a guy talks, it's like, what's he gonna say? And come on, no one likes Kamala, dude. I mean, she's just not good at politicking. She's not. She might be good at hooking up with Willie Brown, but she's not good at politicking. If you ever listen to her, like, ugh, it's like Hillary. It's like Hillary. And by the way, Kamala is not freaking American black. She's Jamaican and Indian. Now, that's great, person of color, but she's not the experience of American black people. She does not. So there's not a whole lot of love for her from blacks. At least I can see it. I'm not black, but I just don't see it. And how do we know? Because she didn't move the needle at all in the black voting area. She did not. Biden did. But Biden's going to say something. Biden's an old school Democrat racist. I guarantee he's got a lot of racist stuff in that head that's going to come out because he's got Alzheimer's. He's going to say something that's going to piss a lot of black people off, and the media won't be able to cover for him. Now, many people voted for him because they hated Trump. I get that. But at the end of the day, the Alzheimer's is going to come out. He's going to say some evil, ugly stuff, and they won't be able to cover. And then they're going to look to Kamala to take over, and she's rookie stuff. I mean, it's all there is to it. Now, will she? I mean, these are puppets. I get it, but at the end of the day, they're still the people who get voted for or voted against, and so I think in some way, I think it might be kind of fun, actually. Obama did fundamentally change America. Is right. I saw that they fired all the poll workers here in Georgia, man. Yep, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Tim Miller, who ran Jeb's campaign. He's a big leftist too. Wow. Weird, man. I don't think Obama's quite the good politician as you're giving him credit for, Vinyl. I don't think he was quite that good. He had I just don't. I just don't think he was that great of a politician. I mean, he had look, man. He knew how to play the race card correctly. He saw the Patrick guy up in Massachusetts play that, and he knew whites were begging for a black guy to vote for. They knew it, you know what I'm saying? And he played that right. And it's not even Obama's Axelrod. They saw the same thing happen in Massachusetts. They just said whites are begging for a black guy to vote for. Not all whites, but liberal whites to get behind. And they got it, man. And then a lot of middle of the roaders who just want a black guy to vote for. I mean, that's just a fact, man. And they said, I want to put aside that this idea that I'm a racist once and for all, I'm going to vote for Obama. And they did. And then, of course, that just made it worse because that doesn't prove anything because the left is never happy. Once you grant the premise, you can never take it back. Hillary told Biden not to concede. Yep. Conservatives better take the message to these cities. Check out Kim Klacik. Yeah. More of that. I get you, man. Still got crushed by 50 points. Yeah, exactly, man. That's the issue. Rex says it. At the end of the day, yes, it's great to have Kim Klacik or whatever name is classics of the world running out there, attractive candidate, says change Baltimore but the problem is I bet she didn't lose by 50 points. I bet something else going on there, if you know what I'm saying. I got nervous when Obama won the first term and got out of the market. If the 2 Senate seats go to the Democrats, I'll get nervous too. I would not get out of the market. I think the market wants Biden more than anything because he's a corporatist, chamber of commerce type for sure. I really, really do. And that that doesn't mean the market's good or rational. It's rational for them. It's rational for them. And if you own the stock, it's rational for you to stay in the market. That's for sure. It doesn't mean it's good for the country, though. Remember, the market doesn't care what's good for the country. They cares what's good for them as the stockholders and ultimately the corporations. All right. Yeah, exactly. Obama was not American Black. Right on, man. Of course, these voters didn't want a real black guy for president, Jesse Jackson, guys like that. Well, my dad did. We had a Jesse Jackson for president on our Dodge Horizon or Dodge Colt for 1984. Jesse Jackson for president. And we're big Jesse Jackson supporters. And at my graduation, Jesse Jackson, it was in 1988 when he was still running. Was it the primary then? I think it was in high school. And his number 2 guy in his campaign spoke at our graduation. I don't remember the guy's name. I don't remember what he said. I really don't remember graduating, but I know I did by the skin of my teeth. All right, we're gonna get out of here, man. Yeah, yeah. All right, appreciate you. Yep, exactly right on, man. Remember, and hopefully they won't be able to reverse Trump's executive orders because the Supreme Court did not allow Trump to reverse Obama's. It's crazy. I'm gonna go check on my brisket and my chuck roast I got down there and my sous vide. All right, so we'll see you guys later on my other channel. Thank you all for being here, trying to get over that 4,000 threshold. I got. Oh, if you haven't watched my Wellesley video, just watch that. I am. I don't have any bonds. I just think I'm telling you, just watch that video. I explained it there, and I got a freaking boatload of videos to do that. I just got this list of stuff here. It's gonna be nuts. So hang tight. Appreciate y'all.